come at us on Facebook with any comments, questions, concerns.
And we will promptly ignore you.
And no, we are doing great on our
We'll
response
get to your
time.
topic if it's interesting enough.
And we are doing great on response time. We're like typically like within the day. We're doing pretty good in terms of responding to the massive amount.
Better than the White House.
4 of us all with phones on.
We're so good at saying,
within a day we might get
what's up?
Well, there's also we all
Thanks for the
have
comment.
jobs, and we have 2 jobs. That is, we work and we're all married. So we all know being married's hard.
I love you, honey. That's not what I think.
That's a work for all of us.
smartest thing I ever did.
And yeah, that's true. You and me both. But anyway, Twitter, Facebook, the Instagrizzy. We're thinking about being on Snap.
That's not a thing. Don't try and make it a thing.
I really want to do Facebook Live when we record one of these, where
Yeah.
we can invite people to come and join us.
Dude, all 7 of our followers would still be there. Speaking of followers, I got a great message from one of our fans in the Czech Republic, Veronika Bokova. She said that we're doing great work and to keep it up. And she's a Christian artist over in the Czech Republic, musician in apparently one of the most atheist countries in all of Europe that we learned from
Thank you for
week 3.
Did we learn that, or
listening
did you
or
just make
watching.
that up?
No, we talked about that
I
before.
heard that. So,
Yeah. Okay, it wasn't. Like
yeah,
official.
thanks for watching. And
Yeah, seriously, we made it to
Being
the
a
Czech
fan.
Republic. That's
Thanks for being a friend of the podcast.
Yeah.
fun.
send us
exciting.
some questions and or rousing topics. That
Once
people-
we can
That's
answer,
almost
please.
terrifying. Just to think that we have been listened to outside of Orange County. is a little
Outside
bit-
of this room.
Yeah, I guess is a little bit odd. Veronica, you said?
Yep.
All right, Veronica, we love you, and we're praying for you, and for massive amounts of success for your band.
Yeah.
Because that would be, this would be cool.
Send us your music.
Yeah, for sure.
That would actually
we'd love
be
to see
super rad.
We'd
Yeah.
love to. We could play some of it. And,
Yeah, we could finish one of our weeks
for
with
sure.
it. That'd be
Jug,
awesome.
jugga, jug, jugga, jug, jugga, jug, jugga,
I think it
jug,
sounds like that, yeah.
jugga, James, you got the pop topic.
Pop topic.
Stop it.
Pop topic.
That was really weird.
I don't even have to do that one.
It's like somebody grabbed your bathing suit parts.
I think we're all gonna be murdered.
Making it creepier and creepier is my goal.
Oh man, that was
There's only one exit from this room.
That's true.
that was just.
There's a fire
horrifying.
extinguisher in the corner, by the way. I don't know if I ever pointed that out.
So the pop topic for this week, we're answering this question, each of us, maybe a couple of answers. Things we deeply loved, whether it be a media or something else, but were ultimately ruined for us through some means. So I'll start to kind of get things going. I deeply, deeply loved the books that are the series Dune. D-U-N-E. Written originally by Frank Herbert.
Are you sure it's not Dune?
No, it's not Dune.
I've okay. I want you to tell me what happened, and I have some questions for you about it.
Okay, so Frank Herbert wrote the 6 original books. He was writing the 7th when he passed away. Never got released by him in any way. It was caught up in notes. I'm not sure exactly the story, but for decades gone. And during the 80s and maybe the late 90s, there was attempts at movies and TV shows, and they were always really esoteric, really weird. The first Dune movie from the 80s
The one with Sting?
yeah, that had Sting in it. He wasn't the main guy, but
Patrick Stewart was in
he did
it.
a decent job. Funny enough, he's not the worst part of that movie by any means. But it was just like it had all the trappings of an 80s sci-fi film, a bad 80s sci-fi film.
Bummer.
And apparently, so they got who was the director? David Lynch, and David Lynch at the time was like Spielberg in popularity. And David Lynch filmed it, and the original version was almost 3 hours. And it was one of those things where he created a beast and realized it too late, and he was refusing to release the film under his name. And the production company was like, "You're David Lynch. We've paid you because we want David Lynch to make this movie. We want to bill you as the director, right?" And so he brokered a deal where he could edit the film any way he wanted in order for them to
His film,
right.
re-edit his film.
any way he wanted. Well, because he had been holding to certain like strict guidelines for following the books and stuff
Okay.
like that. And that he could edit it any way he wanted for them to keep his name on the as director. And he edited an almost 3 hour film to less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
And what was released was just awful. And they were legally not able to release that film. And I don't know what happened contractually, but over a decade, if not almost 2 decades later, they released it, but they couldn't even call it. They couldn't put David Lynch's name on it still, and they had to call the Dino De Laurentiis version.
Yeah, it was like a whole fiasco.
Yeah, it was
The 3-hour version was released.
Right. Dino De Laurentiis was the like co-producer or something, and
Nothing.
and so that movie was just really bad. And then Sci-Fi Channel tried to do some miniseries, and those were really
Hard
shoddy.
sci-fi
Did you
is
watch
the
the
worst.
documentary?
No, I haven't.
Aronofsky's.
Really?
Dune?
Now I need to check that out. Thank you for telling me about
Basically, they took all the artwork
Mm.
and they tell the story of him and how he tried to get Dune made and how he wanted to do it and trying to stay. He went
Who?
and got a.
Who's that?
that. Aronofsky?
Yeah.
The documentary about Aronofsky, who's a director.
Wanted to do Dune.
Okay.
I think it was Aronofsky, wasn't it?
I don't know. I'm learning about this.
Maybe. I could be wrong on that. But I remember-
Darren Aronofsky always takes on projects that I would love for him to do, and then he ends up not doing them. This would be just another one of those, because he was going to
Quitter.
do the Wolverine movie, right? He was going to do the
I
second
hope I'm
Wolverine
thinking
movie.
of the right guy, but I could be totally wrong on who the director was. But
So, go
yeah,
ahead.
then he went and got what's his name, Geiger. This guy did all the alien stuff
Hmm.
to do all the artwork for his project. He basically built this whole picture book of what he wanted the movie to look like, and so they take you through all of that, and it gives you a pretty good idea of what his version of the movie
That's
would
interesting.
look like.
So there's the sci-fi films, and then to kind of, Frank Herbert's son of himself grew up and became a writer, and he's actually a good writer, but he just isn't as amazing as his father. That's the problem. Like, you can't. Dune is written by an exceptional human being who not only was a great writer, but a great poet, a wonderful proverb writer, somebody who had a lot of life experiences that helped feed into the philosophy of his writing. And his son, to my knowledge, doesn't have any of that. And he's just a good writer, could write good books, but when you write the next Dune book, you're not going to live up to what came before.
Yeah, fair
and so he ended up writing all these prequels that ruined it for me.
Huh.
And then something happened where he was able to get his father's notes for the 7th book, and I've not even read it because I don't want that series to be ended by his son.
If I could just correct myself real quick.
Sure.
Not Aronofsky. It was Alejandro Jodorowsky.
Okay. Well, that's why.
Yeah.
So my question is, this book is often recommended to me in my Audible suggestions, and I read the description, and I want to be like, yeah, I read Dune. So do you recommend reading the first book knowing that it's now been ruined for you?
Yeah, well, the whole memory has been ruined, but the first 6 books are incredible. The problem is the 6th book ends on a cliffhanger. If you can read
terrible.
the first book and be fine.
Okay.
You can read
But if it's really good, you want to keep going.
Yeah, you can read the first 2 books and be fine. You could read the first 4 books.
I see where this is going.
You could read the first 4 books
Okay.
and be fine, not the first 3.
Okay.
The 3rd really needs the 4th. But if you venture into the 5th, then you need the 6th, and then the 6th has a cliffhanger.
How did you like the real-time strategy Dune?
I always wanted to play it, never did.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I love
Fantastic.
Duke Nukem.
Dune 2.
Dune 2.
Really, Duke Nukem is not a real-time strategy. There's not much strategy.
Funny trivia. There's a Dune encyclopedia that was put out, but they only printed like 100,000 of them, and they actually mostly went to libraries. And it's a very rare book that's very hard to get a hold of. And this was before the days of like eBay had made some of this easier. And so I was a young person still, and not a Christian yet. So, and what I did was I randomly found it. My friend was going to Cal State Long Beach. I went into the Cal State Long Beach library. Thought, I wonder if they had the Dune Encyclopedia. They totally did. I checked it out as a guest.
Did you have a copy of?
I checked it out as a
Never
guest
returned it.
and lost it and paid the $60 fine.
Wow.
And
So you bought it the hard way.
Got the Dune Encyclopedia.
You still have it?
That's stealing,
I
Jake.
may. I paid for it.
That's stealing.
Is it worth a lot of money?
I haven't looked it up. At one point, it got up to about $150,
Oh.
but I haven't looked it up in
So it
years.
was a good investment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for $60, that's not bad.
That's like buying the Beatles music after asking them for help on how you should invest your money. You should
Well,
feel
God
Not
helps
a
those that
great
helps
moment in my
themselves.
history, but certainly the real
God
moment.
does
So
work
mine's
in
very similar to
mysterious
yours,
ways.
almost identical in every way. So someone else should go first
Okay.
or second.
Go ahead, Chris.
I absolutely loved the Mass Effect trilogy. and absolutely hated the ending.
See, I liked the ending.
So the problem with the ending for me,
How do we talk about this? Are you just going to just tell us what happened?
Well, so
I mean, I'm never going to play it.
yeah. So Mass Effect, they built this whole big
tell us.
universe,
Yeah.
and you cruise around and you do stuff, and you pick up allies, and you're trying to battle the big bad guys that are coming to kill
And the
everyone.
games are 40+ hours, and your
Oh.
decisions carry over into the.
Yeah.
I
from
sat
the
down with
first
a
to the
student
second
and
to
we
the
watched
third.
a 26-minute cutscene, so I
Yeah.
know this game is intense.
So you build up over
a
3
space
games.
opera.
Yeah, this giant, your same character that you've been building the whole time, and then I don't even mind that Shepard dies,
That's needed.
is that the main
Right.
character? Is that
Yeah.
who you play?
but they
Dude.
sold it. All their marketing sold it on how much your choices affect the universe, and then you get to the end, and the different endings because there's you
Are
know,
very much the same.
yeah, and they're
Dies
not even
no
like
matter what.
full endings. It was like a slideshow, and this is the end.
Yeah.
And it's just like
Did you play the ending that they added
that they
later?
no, I refused.
No,
I didn't go
it's
back.
really good to do it. They didn't.
I watched
change-
it on YouTube.
They
I
didn't change it.
Yeah.
They just fleshed it out more.
Yeah.
But here's my counter argument to that, which I'm not saying you should agree with me. I'm just saying, but this is why I'm not.
Here's
bothered.
why you're wrong.
Because if you think of the trilogy as like 120 hours, for me the last 10 minutes isn't the ending. Like the last 10 hours is the ending.
Well, you knew it was
And-
the ending when you walk around and say goodbye to everybody.
Right. And the last
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
and the last like 10 to 20 hours, there are a lot of significant ends that you played a big role in. Right?
Yeah.
Like for example, like what happens with Morden Solus.
But
It's
I
all
just-
about the decisions you
I just
made.
felt like the original ending was so cheap too, just like the slideshow.
yeah.
That it was
bad.
just so.
There was a lot of pressure for them to get it put out. EA was
Yeah.
funding them, and also to have an online
But
mode.
did they have like they changed writers somewhere in the trilogy or something, or like some writers left and some came on, or so, there's something
No, I
weird.
don't remember that.
exactly
That
what it was.
happened
It was
with
years
Mass
ago now.
Effect 4 for sure,
Yeah.
but I don't know about that happening with 3.
So it was just it wasn't even a full cutscene. It was just like a picture of your ship and like people getting off of it, and then like they're talking and music, and it was like it wasn't even animated.
Did you play the DLC that came out later? That was
He's too mad. He didn't play. he
No,
didn't
I
play.
traded it in.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, I
you need
was
to
like,
play.
no,
You
screw
need to
this,
play
I
the
traded
DLC
it.
too. It's so good.
Gave up on it.
Okay,
I feel a little bit like a Metal Gear Solid. I feel a little bit like that too.
You're wrong.
When he died, I was like, this ending is not as much as that amount of time I put into this game. But Metal Gear Solid is not. Nothing changes.
Who died in Metal Gear Solid?
Snake dies in Metal Gear Solid 3 or whatever. For PS3.
No, you're wrong.
One of them does. One of them dies.
No.
No, Snake doesn't die in
Ever.
any of the series.
What are you talking about?
You need to keep
At
playing.
the end, he like died. He like someone shoots him in the back of the head.
You need to keep
Nope.
playing.
Well, the other games. All right, whatever. All right.
Sorry,
You need to play 4 and 5, my friend.
Josh.
So mine's probably a little bit different than your guys's.
4th grade.
Uh,
I loved 4th grade.
I
They
did love
ruined it
4th
for
grade.
me.
In hindsight,
two things. I'll start with this one because it's nerdy like your guys's. Comic books are ruined for me because anytime
I don't know how to read.
anytime
short.
James tells me a story about a comic book, it sounds awesome, and then I go to read it and it's just horrible.
So it sounds like it's your imagination. That's
Like,
lacking.
well, his ability to tell the story is better than the comic book's presentation of said story. We learned about Thor and what is the battle called? Ragnarok. And we went and read the comic of it, and it was just, I was like, oh, sorry, I gotta stop doing that. I was so bored, dude.
But yeah, slow. Super
Like,
slow.
just bored to tears. But when I was hearing the description of it, I was like, dude, that would be an awesome movie.
you just need a vine of Ragnarok. That's 6 seconds long.
yeah, that's my first one.
okay, let me give you another one. Scrubs, the TV show.
Oh, I love.
When they
Seasons-
tried to bring it back.
Oh,
no,
college.
it was already awful.
Couldn't disagree. Couldn't disagree with
Seasons
you more.
1 through 4, majestic,
for sure.
wonderful. Season 5, good. Season 6 plus. Just,
Is that what they went to call the interns or whatever?
No, that was more like
Season 6
8.
is when JD moves to or begins his move to a different hospital
Oh yeah.
to take
yeah.
over there.
It becomes so bad.
Could not
And-
disagree with you
and
more.
it becomes-
I think that
and it
ending was one of the
becomes
best
so
endings ever.
corny.
Yeah, that was one of the best endings of any television show.
What?
I thought the final episode was one of the best endings of a television show I've ever seen.
Yeah.
What? Scrubs.
Yeah.
the last episode.
Scrubs is my
Of the last episode of the original
of the
series.
series
Yeah.
No, the last episode is
where he's walking down the hallway and saying bye to all the characters.
Yeah.
no. That is not the last episode. I know what the last episode is.
Where they get
'cause
married.
No,
I'm pretty sure it is.
the last episode, because of the writer's strike, was it was all like a fantasy in the medieval period.
No, that was in the last season, but that was not the
No,
last episode.
they moved it to the end because the writer's strike ruined writing the season.
There's a real ending to this whole series.
Yeah, there is a real ending to the whole series.
Yeah, and it's a really beautiful piece of
we're
television
standing there and
masterpiece.
seeing everything. And
Yeah, it's all projected.
Yeah,
It was
JD
all-
wakes up on his last day at Sacred Heart and can't help but reminisce about his first day. He then ends up waking up Elliot, and at first, yeah,
They're good times. Good times.
yeah.
They
And
have a
then
fine time.
Upon arriving at the hospital, Turk has a banner with "Goodbye, JD" written on it, and he has pads set up for JD's final eagle.
Eagle. So, I
Yeah.
hear what you're saying though.
Yeah.
This
It
is
was
where
TV Gold, and then it got.
No,
Seasons 1 through 4
this
were
is
incredible.
the last episode is where he walks down the hallway and says goodbye to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
From
but
season
it's-
9.
Even if that's a great season 9, would have to be then after they brought the show back.
I
Because
think
the
you-
show
yeah, I
ended
think
on
so.
season
Yeah.
7. That's what I was asking. Was it the original show? The original show ends on season 7. So you're talking about when they bring it back later.
I don't know if it was seasons 8 and 9 were that bad then. I didn't like the college or whatever. Like rebooted the show, and JD and Turk were like in every third episode for cameos and stuff.
It became a parody of itself.
yeah.
Yeah, it did. for
And
sure.
a show that was so wonderful and so heartfelt. You got another one for us?
So mine is almost identical to yours. I loved the book Ender's Game. It's a funny story how I not found that book because it's extremely popular. But when I was in high school, I'm on a bus to a swim retreat, and a friend of mine is reading this book that's super tattered. You know, I'm like, "You've read this like 100 times?" Yeah, it's Ender's Game. I've read it like 50 times. You know, I was so fascinated that his book was just so well loved by him. You know, and he explained it to me, and it sounded really cool with battle school and all that kind of stuff. But I kind of forgot about it. It wasn't until I was at my last church and one of my students was reading it, and I'm like, I'm going to read that with you. And so we kind of read it within the same 3 or 4 months, and so we talked about it. Excellent book. Sequel is garbage. Speaker for the Dead is just this completely different genre. Not even, I mean, the same character, but just not even the same thing. Some people like it better. I mean, supposedly he wrote Ender's Game just so he could write Speaker for the Dead, and Speaker for the Dead is his. He thinks it's his masterpiece, but critically, it's not even in the same category. So critics would disagree. They would say that Orson Scott's card Ender's Game is one of his best books ever written, and Speaker for the Dead is not anywhere near there. His books get progressively worse after that. Some of them are just nothing but space politics discussions on different.
Kind of like the first 3 Star Wars.
yes, really bad. People say they hated the movie with Harrison Ford. I thought it was fine. It was they wanted it to be Harry Potter because there's so much content. Harry Potter for space. They wanted it to reboot an entire franchise, and I thought it could have. It just didn't do very well in the theaters. I don't think enough people have read the books. So he has created a huge world for all. He has dozens of books within this, and most of them are just nothing compared to his first. He revisits Battle School in Der Shadow series, where you go through the whole story again, but from a different character's perspective. And those are slightly better, but I didn't want to read them again. It wasn't until in the past 3 or 4 years where he's written some prequels to the entire universe that explains how the Formic Wars started, how the wars with the alien race started, and those are really good. So those will never be as popular as Ender's Game, but they're
Interesting.
similar.
I remember after I saw the movie, I went and read the summaries of the books because I hadn't read the books.
Yeah.
And I was reading the summary for Speaker for the Dead or whatever,
Yeah.
the second one, and I was like, whoa,
What is this?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
crazy town.
Yeah, it's just ludicrous.
It's a lesson that's kind of hard to learn, that sometimes books need to stay books and movies need to stay movies and games need to stay games. We have this obsession that I end up
Yeah.
loving, let's say, a video game, and I want it to become a movie or become a book or something like that. And what sometimes you have to learn is things are great as what they are, and they don't translate very well.
Right.
And sometimes in the translation, it really ruins
For some reason-
what was good about this, what
Yeah.
you were enjoying.
For some reason, our culture, or maybe America, thinks that movies are the end-all, be-all of art, of media art, and once it makes it to a
It's
movie,
a seal of approval.
yeah, once it makes it to a movie, I'll finally be able to experience it the way that I should experience it, the way I'm entitled to, have a right to.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the case. Books are books, and movies are movies, and some books make good movies, and some don't.
Yeah.
And I desire that. Like, I also want to see my loved books become visual media.
Yeah.
So especially when
but
it's
you don't,
done well.
yeah, but you don't necessarily want it to, because someone could easily ruin it for you, and that's
Right.
that's all you have. So, yeah, it reminds me a lot of what you were saying about doing, and a lot of people share my sentiment with the second book. If you started with that, you'd be like, I'm not really into this. You
Yeah.
know,
Chris, do you have another one?
I hate when, though, kind of on that topic, is when they do make a movie from source material
Uh-huh.
and they rewrite the whole story. And
Yeah.
the source material
Lucifer.
was better than what they or was better than what they made.
sure.
Like, remember Timothy Oliphant's Hitman?
Uh,
That movie where they tried to turn Hitman into kind of a Jason Bourne movie.
right.
Just recently, it came out.
No, it was probably 5 years ago.
Hitman
No.
has had a few shots.
Yeah,
at
they
the
just
big
rebooted
screen.
it again.
Yeah.
But and I like Timothy Oliphant. He's a great actor. I thought Justified was a brilliant show.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was the right guy for that role. I think them rewriting the whole backstory of Agent 47 and his whole world was silly because
Yeah.
there was a cool story there to start with.
Sure.
Because what happens is they don't start with the story of Agent 47. They say, we need a Jason Bourne competitor. So they develop it, and they're like, well, but how are we going to get people to watch this? Because it's not Jason Bourne.
So they
Let's
look
find some
for-
other license to slap over the top of
Yeah.
it. It's a veneer, right?
Yeah.
So here's one that's a little bit more depressing, you might say, or it's a little bit insensitive of me, but it's also just the truth. When I find out comedians I love in movies, like actors of comedies, struggle deeply with depression, it
Yeah.
immediately makes them not funny anymore for me. So
Just
like when
they're
it,
too human.
like before, like Robin Williams passed away, like it kind of came out that he dealt with depression quite a bit, and same thing with Owen Wilson.
Have you watched Good Will Hunting since Robin Williams passed away?
No,
It's tough.
yeah.
It's tough.
So like,
Wow.
so when I found out that Robin Williams dealt with depression, when I found out with Owen Wilson dealt with depression, I loved Owen Wilson comedies quite a bit. But now when I watch Owen Wilson comedies, I'm like, you're just really sad, and I can't laugh at your jokes. Like it's a problem with me, definitely. It's not a problem with Owen Wilson.
Right.
But it immediately ruins something that I would have laughed quite a bit. That's the reason why I haven't seen Zoolander 2. It's because Owen Wilson plays a huge role in that, and I just can't laugh at his movies anymore. I just can't get there.
What about that makes you unable to laugh?
It feels like a facade. It feels like
the
fake.
facade is removed too much. I can't fake it at that point. Right, and that's like I said, that's more of a James Yule problem, right?
Right.
But it's
Sure.
it's the facts. It's
It's
has
like,
that happened to you? With
I want to
any
give you a
actors?
hug.
Yeah.
You know, like, we don't need to be silly.
It happens too often that comedic actors commit suicide and struggle with depression, that it is kind of this. It's sad as opposed to funny when you see them acting in a very jovial and happy way. You want that to be who they really are because they bring you so much joy watching them. But
It's
then
like
you find-
watching the best of Chris Farley.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
like, oh.
yeah, to know that he struggled with so
Yeah,
much and
he
that
was hurting so much. and-
He, the escort that was in his hotel room was quoted of having said that when she left, he said, "No, please don't leave me." That
Oof.
was like his last thing that anybody heard him say before he died.
Yeah, it was pretty well known that after each night of SNL, he would get into a limo or some kind of car, and he'd pick up a homeless person and then just take them out to eat,
Just
buy
wanted
them a bunch of
company.
clothes, and just take care of them for a night, like after SNL every week.
Hmm.
Because he had been quite poor before he made it.
But Beverly Hills
He was
Ninja
living out of a
is
car.
So funny.
so funny.
So funny.
Really, of all his movies, that's one.
Yeah.
It is
all
funny.
his great
It's-
movies.
Yeah, it's funny.
All of
Tommy
his
Boy.
great movies. He was-
Yeah, there were a lot.
there's- yeah,
Tommy Boy was a game changer,
Now,
man.
on the other hand, if I found out David Spade dealt with depression, I don't think that would change anything for
but
me.
that's kind of his shtick too,
Right.
is being sarcastic and mean. And,
Alone, he's
Self-deprecating.
Oh, you really are bitter. That's funny.
House standard. I have one. Man, this is like faith in whatever confessional time. This is good for us. Kobe Bryant has kind of been ruined for me. I'm a huge Laker fan. Huge.
He is gigantic.
And I am buff. And I, how do I put this not meanly? Kobe Bryant's garbage, and this is what drives me crazy.
How do I put this not meanly? Kobe Bryant is garbage.
So here's what drives me up the wall. When
Garrett is
Kobe-
so uncomfortable.
Look, I made it so mad that Chris had to go. Here's what I can't stand about this. Okay, Kobe Bryant was not worth $12 million in his last 3 years.
Do you mean skill? Like, what do you mean garbage?
Yeah,
Just-
yeah. Okay, so Kobe Bryant signs is a part of this clear career decline in his last few years.
He was probably
right?
worth it in merchandise.
As are many
And-
athletes.
Right. So he's on this career decline, and he is saying that he desires to win, right? There's this idea of wanting to do, to get one more ring, to just
He was very big about that lately
yeah,
too.
and to be very just close to the top and near. I don't want to say close to Jordan because I don't think he was as obsessed with being Jordan as everybody thinks. I think he was trying to be Kobe, but he definitely wanted to get that 6th ring. I do firmly believe. And so 2 years ago now, 3 years ago maybe, his last contract restructure, okay, where they use a free agent, we're going to sign him again for years, like 18 through 20 of his career. He signed 19 and 20 of his career. He signs for 24 and then $24.5 million there for those each years.
Wow.
So I don't understand,
It's the merchandise.
one, why the Lakers would be willing to pay that to him for the simple fact of what they were proclaiming to say was that they wanted to stay under this luxury tax. So if you go over this luxury tax in this specific sport, because there is a salary cap, you have to pay excessive fines and penalties to the league. Fair enough, it's salary cap, part of the CBA, that's okay. But he claims and swore up and down that he wanted to win, he wanted to get one more, yada, 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 yada. But the Lakers were unwilling to go into the luxury tax after paying him that much money. And so it ate up so much of their cap room, and he got that extra $500,000 bump.
He got all this, and the rest got that.
Well, and that $500,000 bump allowed him to stay the highest paid player in the league. Okay, so I don't have a problem with a player taking money for themselves. So like a guy named Steve Nash took this extra $9 million in his last year because he goes, look, I wanted the $9 million. He was very forthright about it, and people came down on him because he got injured too. But when you just to play for 3 years and just have the amount of injuries that he had, and then to come back and to do this farewell tour makes me very sad. Because the Kobe that everybody knows and loves with the killer instinct and this idea of being a player who is so ferocious has become so docile in his old age that Kobe 7 years ago would have kicked the crap out of this Kobe now for saying you are shooting a league worst or around there of like 30% from your field goals. Why are you even part of this team? Like, why are you starting? Why are you playing? The Kobe of a few years ago would have told him to just stay on the bench. And so it's just weird. And I guess you can see this with anything. When anytime you see anybody who's past their prime just mailing it in, and he's doing this farewell tour around the league where he's having all these great stories and these interviews, and it's hard for me to buy into the fact that I guess anybody as a Laker fan should be happy about this or like celebratory that it's just this 82 game debacle with an understanding that he's gone and that he's only got a month left in the NBA. That makes me so excited because it's just like
Get out of here.
it's just like when you're like
done.
I don't know how to I don't there's not an appropriate analogy.
Is it because this removes the veil of the fact that professional sports is just entertainment?
No,
And they just paid him that because they knew they'd get more viewership?
it's antithetical to that because it's
No, it's right. You're wrong.
what it does is it shows that the obsession that he had for the game has gone, and I don't want to remember him this way. I wanted to remember him as like the visceral killer who would just tear down. I mean, who would harness his hatred for greatness, kind of thing. And but
Retire at your prime. You should have just.
maybe just a couple years ago. So I don't know. That's just how I am.
But
feeling
James has
there.
a point. Merchandise and entered. The Lakers are going to make more money with him on the team for everyone tuning in to see whether or not he's any good. And all the commentary afterwards that they're talking about how bad he's playing is making them just as much money as if they were winning.
Kind of, but it puts the Lakers just in a position to
Yes.
be bad for the next 5 years. And so
Yeah.
Right.
if you're going to sign him to that much money, be willing to go
The
into the
fans suffer
luxury.
the most.
Yeah, be willing to go into the luxury tax and then just spend all the money to go overpay and go reach for somebody else because nobody wanted to play with Kobe in this league. He's like a weird reminiscent of like a Michael Jordan era in this new league that's not competitive anymore, right? It's the same level of competition there. So anyway, that was my main thing. That just really, it breaks my heart because it's like when you see something that just needed to be put out of its misery a long time ago.
Josh just needed the Lakers to take Kobe Bryant out back, drive him to a forest
Take him
somewhere.
to the farm.
and just
Yeah,
leave him
just-
there. And just say, stay here. Do not come back. We love you. Thanks
Yeah.
for everything.
Take your helicopter back to Kota to Kaza and
and
There should
relax.
be a place that they should go.
Yeah. I
All
mean,
right.
so I don't feel bad for him though. The guy's sold more shoes in China than Yao Ming, so it's like, you're gonna be fine, but
Yeah.
get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
That's me.
So
Whew,
I think
sports.
Chris has an epic game of 20
I don't know
questions.
how epic it is.
20
I
questions
think
to rule
mediocre
them
is
all.
fine for us.
mediocre.
I think-
Mediocre.
All right,
should be-
mediocre.
Yeah.
I guess we
So
should
if
set
you're
the bar
listening, you
low.
can turn off here.
Average. Yeah.
Just
All right,
kidding.
So
What's our hint?
Or you
Go
can
ahead.
play along. Just don't fast
I
forward.
will steal a previous hint. It is an object.
That is not a good hint.
All right.
Hey, I said thing. That was even worse.
Yeah.
Okay, object.
Object.
I said Kim Kardashian. That
Is
was
it
the
smaller
worst.
than a duck?
No.
Is it bigger than a newt? No, I'm
Don't
just
waste
kidding.
that
I'm just
question on
kidding.
that. That was my question, by the way.
The duck one.
Yeah.
The duck is that's a real question.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
trying to get.
Are you going to keep note to how many questions
I'm just
we
going to try to get reference of size
I'm
here.
counting. Everyone with their tablets. I'm over here.
Is
with
it
the pen
larger
and
than a
paper.
refrigerator?
Yes.
asked? Is it related to a famous personality?
Not specifically. No.
Is it featured on television?
Yes.
Is
it
it
the Serenity?
No.
is the version is what you're thinking of was it invented or at least released to the public after January 1st, 2000?
Was it invented or released? No, prior to that, actually.
Okay.
Okay, how many questions did we just burn through
6.
before I put my headphones back on?
We don't mess around, John. Get with the program. Stop waiting the last minute and getting the right answer.
20 questions in 20 seconds.
Did we say it wasn't a newt?
Does it exist in the real world?
No.
Bum bum bum.
It is a thing from fiction.
Is this fiction that is primarily displayed on television?
Yes. But not exclusively.
Thanks for the bonus.
Interesting.
So this media might be both on TV and movies or books.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards book just because I have a gut.
It's probably
feeling.
something comic. Can I ask if it's
I don't
comic book
read.
related?
You can. You can ask that.
Is that a bad question?
Go for it.
Is it comic book related?
No. And there might be comics where it appears. I don't know.
You just don't know.
Yeah, but that's
yourself.
not what you're thinking
Yeah.
about.
That's not where you would know it from.
Is it the Andy Griffith Show?
That's
Let's,
not a question.
I know.
Let's get back to the object. To help us
Okay.
give us a better frame of reference.
So on TV,
So I said it. Is it?
Are we talking
It's
objects
larger than a
like-
refrigerator, but we don't know anything else about
It
its
is larger
function.
than a fridge.
Yes, it is larger than a
We don't know anything
refrigerator.
else about its function.
And it debuted prior to, would you say 2000?
Yeah, January
now,
1st, 2000.
clarify, did we ask and you answered the question, is it part of fiction? Did you say fiction?
I did say it was a fictional object.
Fictional
Yeah.
object. Okay. And is it in sci-fi?
Yes.
Hard, hard or soft sci-fi?
For some reason I was thinking the doctor's whatever
Phone
that is.
booth.
Phone
What
booth.
is
Doctor
that?
Who?
What is that thing called?
Doctor Who phone
Can't
booth?
believe we don't know that. We're not true nerds.
I'm not a Doctor Who fan.
Yeah, I
so-
don't even know what that is.
Is it?
I'm still waiting for somebody to explain the
Does it
premise of
assist?
Doctor Who to me.
Does it assist humans in transportation?
Yes.
Is it the Planet Express?
No.
That was a good
Is that
guess.
what is that?
From Futurama.
That was a
Futurama.
good guess.
That would have been really good with him saying January 1st of 2000.
Yeah.
Transportation, fictional, sci-fi.
Right.
And it's not the Serenity from Firefly.
Or
We already asked that.
I actually did, yeah. I think he counted it.
Yeah.
Okay. TV,
Yeah, he did say that.
sci-fi, TV, sci-fi. What are some sci-fi shows that Chris likes?
I don't even know what classifies as sci-fi.
Give us some
Hard
guesses.
sci-fi, you know. But he said early 2000s, so Stargate is probably in there.
Stargate.
No,
Star Trek.
it's the USS Enterprise. I bet you.
That's your guess?
Is that it?
Can you be more specific? Because we had wait. We had 5.
The one from the Next Generation.
Yeah. Don't even know
No,
1701D.
I know. I do
Oh,
not
the
know
bottle
these
number?
things.
God. NCC.
Did I just legitimately win that? I mean,
Yes.
that
no,
was like,
you didn't ask. Is it the one from the Next
is
Generation?
it the 1701D?
See, by your logic, I got that.
Oh, my God.
Man.
I stole it at the end.
That was
Yeah.
I figured
James
that'd be
O.
a fairly easy one.
that's an excellent alley oop. That was a good. That was a good serve him up.
It's the shuttle.
Something Kobe can't do
Enterprise.
anymore.
Yeah, no
You
kidding.
pull Josh and
Somebody
change it.
told Kobe.
Actually, it
Somebody told
wasn't.
Kobe from the sideline to
That's
dunk.
Voyager.
A fan did, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Dude, I can't. Like, I physically can't get up there tonight." He's like, "I couldn't dunk." Oh man, that was a good one. That was really okay. So follow us on all forms of social media. I can't believe this is another episode coming to an end. 9 episodes in. We've got content for days.
Wow,
We are thankful for all the interaction that we've been able to have with you guys. It's been coming in pretty big spades, and it's kind of been hard for us to keep up with. And so we're excited about that. So follow at James Ewell, YUILE, at T Student Life. Follow at Marion Ranch, and check out Marion Ranch Records on SoundCloud for a good little.
I'm not actually up on SoundCloud right now.
You took yourself down?
Yeah.
What for?
I just have my own music on SoundCloud right now. I am preparing albums with a couple different people. We're doing an EP with one band.
The Digadoos.
Yes, Digadoos. We're working kind of loosely on an EP. We got the kids album, got a charity album, a couple different things, but right now nothing's up.
Okay, well, you know what? Go to facebook.com/faithandwhatever and write us and tell us why Chris should put his music back up there. I'm at Josh_CARMAN, and you can email us at faithandwhatever@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, the group show, Faith, the letter N, whatever. And then lastly, follow us on Instagram. We do like to do little fun giveaways and stuff with
Oh, we
that.
do?
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah.
Sweet.
We've been doing that for a couple of weeks now, but nobody's been claiming the prizes to win them, so I've just been deleting
High
them.
fives from Josh.
So, hey, I'm putting
This
them
is
out.
Josh every week.
I'm putting them out
Nobody's
there.
hitting it.
I'm putting them. I'm putting them there for people to connect with, but nobody's doing any connecting. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, friends of the podcast.
Poor Josh.
Thank you to Veronica for actually being somebody who listens to us.
Yes, thank you.
And to our friends in other parts of the world, we are glad to exist in your life in some menial degree or fashion. So we look forward to being with you again, and I'm going to try and think of a catchy sign off for next week.
All right.
You stay
Good night.
classy, interwebs.
See ya.